Disgust for these people who've had everything handed to them and everyone kissing their butt. And, you know, I'll tell the story right now. If you don't believe me, get a pen and paper out. I'm going to tell this right now, not to be gross or not to be silly or not to be Python-esque or not to be, Saturday Night Live. This is real. This is real. In fact, they've even made a joke about it. They had that thing called Mr. Show on HBO about 8 years ago, where they're treating a guy as royalty and they're wiping his hind end for him in the restaurant. He doesn't have to leave the table. We ought to pull that skit up online or something. But the point is, and we've done deep research on this, they still have their butts wiped for them. Now, if you don't believe me, you Google groom of the stool. You cannot make this up. You will be reading mainstream university websites, mainstream news articles. It's called the groom of the stool. And a British lord follows the queen or king, depending on what it is around, follows them around, and they set up in this big cabinet, and they have to fly it around with her. This has been on the news. That's why they fly it around. They claim they stopped it in 1906, but deeper research shows they're just very quiet about it, and millions of pounds are spent a year to move this portable toilet around because it's got to be big enough. She goes up on a throne and craps. I'm sorry. This is real, folks. I'm not groom of the stool. Google it. And they wipe her fat butt. Aaron Dykes.
And that's not some lowly chimney sweep either. That's in the British hierarchy. That's a lordly high up position, right?
It has to be one of the top lords. This is the most coveted position. See, it's all about worshiping them. And then, I don't want to get into more detail, but then they pick with their bare hands with respect and examine it. And then every stool and every jar of urine, it's not put into water. That would defile it. Is stored, and all of the royalty stool going back over 500 years is stored. Now this came from France, and in French, it's just the French version of groom of the stool. What's the term in French? It's
I think it's like groom of the stool. It's a slight translation. I don't know.
Yeah. So this disgusting bucket of pus, this maggot-ridden Nazi piece of filth, gets up there every day, and people wipe her disgusting hind end. I mean, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. And they're funding abortion worldwide. They're funding eugenics worldwide. They are just the enemy of all free humanity. And they have these little parenages they hand out where millions of people in England have their homes, everything paid for by her. I mean, you think they have palaces. They have palaces that are hundreds of square miles in some cases. They have palaces that are whole cities with armored compounds behind them. And it's just amazing. I mean, this is filth. This is the New World Order. Aaron?
It's very strange to me, but our own presidents have their stool guarded by national security forces,
right. We did a deeper study. George Bush he has a special toilet. Don't believe me, just type president has portable toilet, and he's got to have it carted around. In fact, when he's at big global summits, they have to cart it around behind him.
State secrets of the stool.
Well, it's all about worshiping them. Just even you know what? I think some listeners probably don't believe us.
I've looked it up, too, as you know, groom of the stool.
Remember when I first told you a few months ago and you guys didn't believe it? You Googled it?
It's strange, yeah.
Sure, groom my stool. Groom it, oh, yes. Wipe 5 times. Groom my stool. Groom it, oh, yes. Wipe 5 times. Shoo, little black man, shoo. Groom my stool. Groom it, oh, yes. You gotta fight. Wipe 5 times. Right. Groom my stool. Groom it, oh, yes. Wipe 5 times.
Go back to the Queen's England. Groom of the stool.
Wipe 5 times. Groom it, oh, yes. And it's kind of like the way you let a fart out in church.
And you can't give me a smile? Wasn't that fun?
Of course they teach you that they don't have any power and just forget about them. Real wealth wants to just kind of sit back in the background. But the facts are, there's a woman on earth of all the dozens and dozens of commonwealths and semi-commonwealths who has total veto power. So you deliver. You kill your people for the New World Order because that's what Dutch Rothschild and the Queen of England and David Rockefeller want. These are the people that have got to be stopped if we've got any future. Henry Paulson, Ted Turner, David Rockefeller, Queen Elizabeth, her sons, her husband. You can't photograph royalty worldwide, but you can photograph anybody else in public, but not royalty, because they're the bastards that own Dutch Royal Shell, BP. They own the banks. I'm just sick of it. I've been put in a jail cell by this piece of trash who thinks I'm her slave. Listen to me, Queen Beatrix. You don't own me, eugenicist. Your Nazi father that set up the World Wildlife Fund and was a top Nazi and wants to fund eugenics. I'm sick of you. Just at a fundamental level, I am not this piece of trash's slave. You can't photograph the god. She doesn't even wipe her own hind end. She goes up on a throne and craps. I don't want to get into more detail, but then they pick with their bare hands with respect. I have a name for it around here when one uses it's Queen Elizabeth II due to the, and every jar of urine, it's not put into water. That would defile it. Is stored, and all of the royalty stool going back over 500 years is stored. So this disgusting bucket of pus, this maggot-ridden Nazi piece of filth, gets up there every day, and people wipe her disgusting hind end. I mean, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Well, their pus was so holy that came out of their festering wounds, it had to be sucked. Oh, there they are. There's the demonic. There is the top Nazi in the world, the Queen, with the second Nazi, Prince Philip, who just literally raves and hates black. Shoo, little black man, shoo. Groom my stool. Groom it, oh, yes. Wipe 5 times. It'll get rid of you wretched knave. He literally starts bossing him. Turn around, filth. No, oh, God, you piece of trash. Oh, God. I mean, I'm sorry, it's too ridiculous. I can't handle it anymore. Arrest them all! Arrest her! Arrest them! Arrest the criminals! You know, I really hate Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, but the Queen doesn't have any power. No. And they just literally own half the planet. And meanwhile, there's some old woman dressed up with a crown on her head with a dirty look on her face with some monkey-looking crazy Nazi husband who looks like a spoiled 12-year-old Ritalin head. And it's like, oh, how wonderful. Oh, it's disgusting. Some murderous mafia chief who breeds all these little Nazi children up there perching on top of us with her pot belly, and we're all running around worshiping her. It's so anti-American, so anti-freedom. It makes me literally nauseous to look at that crone. It's disgusting. And she's got all these PR firms out there to sell you how good she is. And I've got to look at this monkey in a royal outfit with diamonds all over. I mean, it's an old gorilla, an albino gorilla. These people are so stupid. These elitists have all these smart people working for them that uphold the whole system. But these bumbling idiots don't even know how to wipe their own behinds, literally. We're not trying to be a comedy. It's just reality. Now, they teach everybody the Queen has no power. I've done the research. This woman owns and controls more than 40 countries. And it's not ceremonial. She got the power. It's the parliament that's ceremonial. See, we are owned by her and her cousin, Queen Beatrix. They've taken us over through fraud. Realize it. If you don't face it, we can't stop her. And her crown, her symbols are all over the highways in Canada, England. I've been to England. They shut down whole areas of London every day and major roads, saying the Queen has decided to shut down the roads today. The Queen has decided no outdoor advertising in England because she doesn't like looking at it. But then you're taught, oh, they're cute, they're funny. You know who's always run the world opium monopoly? That's the Queen. And that's mainline history. They run the smack. I mean, they need that smack, man. They need that money. You can go read the minutes of it where the Queen of England takes over any country she wants. We hear Prince Harry's the #1 terror target in Europe. Oh, what a good little young hero. He's got Al-Qaeda after him. They run almost everything. Charles spoke after arriving at the Manchester by royal train, pulled by a coal-fired steam locomotive. One trip of the train cost more than £1 million. Charles spoke after arriving in Manchester. My royal train, pulled by coal-fired steam locomotive. Oh, dreadful! The plants will love the carbon dioxide that spews from the maw of the train. He continued, if the change is a myth, why are the sea levels at more than 6 inches? Sorry, Charles. People aren't listening to you anymore, and your eugenicist father. Did you know the Emperor of Japan bows I've seen it on television, goes to events every decade or so at the Tower of London to give fealty to the Queen as the head of all royalty worldwide? Because if you don't, she'll overthrow your country and kill you. Wipe 5 times.
Go back to the Queen's England! Groom of the store!
I can't handle it anymore. Oh, my God.